Hi everyone, so today I wanted to make a video about how I deal with glue leakage in doll hair. I wasn't originally going to make a video like this. I was hesitant to upload something on this idea because this video doesn't offer any quick fixes or miracle solutions. Maybe this isn't what everyone wants to hear, but I feel like I have some solid advice and quite a bit of experience with this. I have hundreds of dolls that have glue, I'm sure, and all different varying amounts of glue leaking out. I've had really extreme cases to really mild cases, so I wanted to share my experience with you. I don't want anyone to feel misled by the title of this video, so I'm just letting you know right now that you might not like what I have to say, and that there are a lot of other treatments and methods and quick fixes out there that you can try. But I have tried a lot of different things and I've had a lot of negative consequences with those attempts, and I want to share my good experiences, my bad experiences, and kind of my overall thoughts on this. So first of all, what is glue leakage? A lot of people don't know this, and I actually didn't know what it was until probably 2012. Dolls made by Mattel from 2007 to present day have glue put inside their heads. Now, there are other types of dolls that have glue in their heads, like sometimes if you look at a newer Bratz doll, they'll have a little bit of glue residue, but it's a different kind of glue. The glue that Mattel has been using since sometime in 2007 oozes. It melts in heat and it comes onto the hair shaft and it leaves an extremely thick, sticky and goopy feeling on your doll's hair, and no matter how many times you wash it and boil wash it, it will still feel sticky, and it seems like nothing will ever help. So if your doll has that and they're made by Mattel and they're newer than 2007, then that's probably what it is. It's indiscriminatory. There was a rumor going around that it was only on dolls from Indonesia, but that's not true. I have China dolls that date back to like 2010, 2009 that also have glue. It doesn't matter where they're made, like what country they're made in. It can happen to any doll made by Mattel. My first doll that I experienced this on was my 2008 sparkling Mulan doll that I got at the flea market, and I didn't know what it was, so I thought that I would share with you guys in case you're wondering if your doll has this problem, what it is. That being said, a lot of people have gone out of their way to contact Mattel and tell them this and ask questions and try to get refunds, and actually I want to say not long after I found out what it was, my sister emailed Mattel, and they don't plan to do anything about this glue problem. And I'm not like throwing any shade at Mattel or anything on that line, but it's something that they do, and it's something that they're obviously not going to stop. So pestering them through customer service or making long-winded complaints is not going to change what they're doing. I don't know why they started doing it, but that's the reality of the situation. My best advice to you is if this is something that really bothers you, don't buy new Mattel products, because there is no way to know if the doll has glue, and a lot of the quick fixes out there are very dangerous to your doll. What I have found that works the best is to simply let the glue leak out on its own and do its own thing. And I know right there that that's gonna like bother some people because it means waiting. And some dolls will take only a few months to leak out, and sometimes dolls might take a year or two to leak out all the way. It depends a lot on where you live and the temperature and how you store them and how well you maintain them. Washing your doll with shampoos and soaps, it doesn't make much of a difference. If anything, the lubrication of conditioner seems to help slide the glue off most of all. I've also found that spraying a little bit of white vinegar on doll hair and sometimes even massaging a little baking soda into that can sometimes take off some of the excess goop. But I have found that the more I fixated on the gel, on the glue, and the more things that I tried to do to get rid of the gel, the glue, the more it annoyed me. So basically, when I get a doll with glue, I will wash her and boil wash her or him like I normally would. If the top of their head is not like bad looking, if it doesn't really need to be boil washed, I won't submerge their entire head into the boil wash water, because the heat from the water can cause more glue to ooze out. It's going to come out anyways, but why aggravate it more? And then obviously once they're dry, I'll just leave the glue however it is, if it's really sticky or if it's only slightly sticky, and I just let it leak out, and it'll eventually dry up and get to be like a hard consistency. It'll almost feel like when a doll's been over gelled at the factory and they have like that helmet hair, and I just comb through it. After it's gone through that cycle a few times, I might wash their hair in between, and eventually it'll be fine. And a lot of times their heads will be soft at the top. They won't be rock hard anymore, meaning the glue has actually leaked out. I've had a lot of success with this. I had some dolls that took 3 or 4 years to even start leaking, and some dolls that were leaking right from the get-go that are now totally dry. There's also a myth going around that like the glue will leak forever and it will stay on the hair forever. That's not true. Scientific fact that if you put a tablespoon of glue in the head, a tablespoon of glue has to come out, and it does dry on the hair, so you can brush it out. Some other treatments that I have heard of would be, some people like to use different oils on doll hair to like lubricate the glue off. You have to be careful with oil because plastic and oil don't make a good combo. Certain types of oils can actually cause dolls to start to decompose. So if you slather a bunch of oil without doing your research on your doll's hair, it could start to actually get sticky from decomposing. Like if you put like oil-based makeup on a doll or oil paints on a doll, that's what happens. It actually reacts with the chemicals in plastic. So definitely be careful if you're going to use any kind of oils. A lot of people put different types of powders on their doll hair. It's baby powder, talc powder, cornstarch. This basically absorbs the excess glue, but it's only a topical treatment. It's not going to like actually take the glue out of the head, but you can do that obviously on a darker haired doll like my little friend Jade over here, who wouldn't have glue, but say she did, it would leave a white residue, so that might not work for everything. I've personally never tried the powder method because I just don't really like the way like the powder feels in my doll's hair. And some people manually take off their doll's heads and they pull the chunks of glue out. Now this is where I strongly advise you use caution. I have tried this. When I found out what was happening to my dolls, I, like anyone else, panicked and wanted a solution, and I wanted a solution now, and I didn't take no for an answer. And I spent hours upon hours researching about glue and how to fix it, and I would basically pop the dolls' heads off, and I would put something like rubbing alcohol on the inside to dissolve the glue. It didn't really work. And then when that was done, I would soak their heads in like really hot water, and I would go in with like tweezers and like things to scoop the glue out. When you do that, the glue comes out, yes, but so does hair. Whole hair plugs can come out with the glue. You probably don't want your doll to be bald, especially because once the hair is out of the head, it's out of the head, and unless you're going to reroot it, there's no way to put the hair back in. When the glue is only a temporary problem, it doesn't make sense to cause permanent damage to your doll. You have to be very careful if you're going to pull glue out of the head. But more importantly than anything else, doing that, handling dolls that much and squeezing the head and prodding the head and scooping around the head, it can cause face paint to flake off, and this is devastating. And part of why I wanted to make this video about this is because one of my favorite dolls that my dad bought me when he was alive lost her eyebrows because of this. I'll show you her in a minute. My 2008 Sparkling Snow White doll was one of the ones that got glue later on, and I was really upset because she was, like I said, she's one of my favorites. I did this to her. I had her soaking, and I was like scraping the glue out of their heads and stuff, and when I was doing this, I had my fingers over Snow White's face as I was like holding her to pull glue out, and when I moved my hand off after like, maybe a half hour of doing this, I noticed that some of her eyebrows were missing. Face paint is not something that's easy to replicate. I'm personally no good at painting on doll faces. That's why I don't customize anymore. And also, when you paint on your doll, it's never going to look the same as factory paint, and it's never going to be the same quality as factory paint. To remove her eyebrows unintentionally for glue, which would have come out on its own, which is pretty much all out on that particular Snow White doll now, it wasn't worth it. And what you have to keep in mind is that a lot of these newer Mattel dolls aren't made with the best quality face paint. They're not like Bratz dolls. They have softer heads, and the pliable vinyl makes it easier for the paint to flake off, and they're just not painted with the same detail, and It seems like I get a lot more dolls now that are much, much newer, that come with chips and stuff in their paint. So they're not made to endure a lot of aggressive glue removal. Keep that in mind with whatever you do, whatever chemicals you put on your dolls, whatever kind of physical treatment you're doing on your dolls, whether it's for glue removal or something else, there are consequences. And whatever you try, don't just take someone at their word and do it. Do your research, read about it, because if I had known that there was even a 1 in 10 chance that that would happen to my Snow White, I would have never put her in that position. My heart is still broken when I look at her because, you know, nobody can replace that doll to me. And I have other sparkling Princess Snow White dolls like her, and none of them take her place in my heart. So as you can see, half of her eyebrows are gone. And she also lost some of her lip paint, but I was able to touch that up. It looks a lot better on camera than it is in real life. So if you have tried some of the other methods in the past, I'm not saying this to tell anyone not to do these things or that it's wrong to do these things. I just simply want to put my experience out there and warn anyone who maybe isn't aware of the damage that it can cause. Because, like I said, if I had known that when I started treating glue in my dolls' heads, I wouldn't have ever done that. I wouldn't have ever put them in that position. But the less you focus on it and the more you just learn to live with it and just accept the doll for having glue, the easier it becomes to deal with it, and the quicker it seems to come out of the doll's heads. Like, it doesn't actually come out quicker, but it'll be like one day they're really leaky and then one day you kind of realize, it's not leaking anymore. I just find that the more you fixate on something that you don't like, the more it bothers you and the more triggered you are by it. So like I said, if it's something that you absolutely cannot deal with, and if it's something that's going to, you know, drive you to reroute every doll, or to return every doll, or to, you know, complain to Mattel about every doll you buy, then I really suggest just not buying them, whether they're secondhand or brand new, because they're only going to make you disappointed. I hope that this could offer some insight to you and maybe help at least one person out there. Like I said, I've gotten a lot of questions about this. I had like 3 people ask me on, I think, 1 video about this, so I thought it was time that I just make this video and share my experience with you guys. So until next time, love your dolls, love yourself, and love your life.